flying by, away from them, and no one can see me now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. As promised, I wanted to come out with a video on tips if you are about to enter into the baby-led weaning journey. I have 4 tips for you before you get started. Before we dive into those 4 tips, I want to make sure that you have really done your research. It's so important for you to know your why behind this decision so that when other people or other family members ask you, you know exactly what to tell them. Also, before we get started, I do want to say it's okay to talk to your child's pediatrician about this if you feel like it's something that you want to do. Some pediatricians will tell you, no, you shouldn't do it. Most of those pediatricians, they may be a little bit more old school, or they just may not be educated on even what baby-led weaning is. So they may tell you no. Some, like ours, may be super supportive of it. I have loved Bear's pediatrician from the moment I met her. When I brought up baby-led weaning to her, she was on board. She wasn't 100% sure exactly what it was, and she asked me to explain it to her, which is another reason why you should do your research, especially before you talk to your pediatrician about it. So once I explained to her what it was, she was 100% supportive of it. So having that support system behind you is going to be, it's pretty big. I mean, you may not have it, and I'm sorry if you don't, it's a shame. But if you do, that just adds a little bit of extra confidence behind your decision, I think. Okay, so the first tip that I have is know when your baby is ready. So there are a few signs of readiness that you do not want to ignore before starting baby-led weaning. One is you want to make sure that your baby is 6 months old before you start doing it. We started baby-led weaning when he was 6 months old, but we also did purees before 6 months old. We made a switch. So originally, when he was 4 months old and his pediatrician gave the go-ahead to start doing some purees, at that time, I was not going to do baby-led weaning. I had looked into it, but didn't do a lot of deep research about it, and I just didn't feel comfortable with doing baby-led weaning, and my husband wasn't really comfortable with doing it either at that time. So we chose to do purees then. Here, do you want this? During the 2 months that I was doing puree, I decided to do a lot more research into baby-led weaning because at the back of my mind, it's something that I wanted to do, but I didn't feel comfortable doing it, which is why I made the decision that I made. I am not here to get into the debate of why it's bad to feed your baby before 6 months. That is not why I am here today. I am here to explain some tips with baby-led weaning and to explain my decision as to why I started where I did and where I ended up. And they have to be able to sit up unassisted for at least a minute. And my recommendation would be that they sit up unassisted for at least a minute a couple of times. You just want to make sure that it's not a fluke that they sat up for a little bit of time. So sitting up unassisted, and I didn't realize this until I had done my research into it, is that they're not supported at all. So by you or a prop or even themselves. So when your baby starts to sit up, you may notice that they lean forward and they balance on their hands. That is not sitting up unsupported. Sitting up unsupported is exactly what he is doing right now. So he is sitting up on his own, he's playing, he's not leaning against anything, he's not leaning on his hands, and he is completely sitting up. The reason behind that is because that helps their gagging. So if they're not sitting up properly, then they cannot gag properly. And gagging is their natural defense against choking. So it is very important that they are sitting up for at least a minute before you start any type of feeding. Tip number 2, getting your family involved and getting your family on board. The biggest thing that I have seen moms and dads go through is not having support from their family and friends. Now this kind of goes into two ways for me. One is, and this might sound harsh and I'm really sorry if it does, but you are that child's mother and the father is that child's father. So whatever decision that you make is your decision. It's not anyone else's. It's not the grandparents' decision. It's not the aunt and uncle's decision. It's not the cousin's decision. It's not the friend's decision. It is your decision. And you need to be confident in that decision and stand by that. There are a lot of people who may not even understand what baby-led weaning is, and they may be against it. And usually it's because they don't understand it. So the reason why I said do your research beforehand is because when you do encounter those family members or friends that are gonna give you pushback, it's important to know your why and explain it to them, educate them, and that might change their mind. I know for my family, I never got blatant pushback. I never had any of them say, no, you shouldn't do that, or I can't believe you would do that. I was just given the concerned talk, if that makes any sense at all. And so something that really helped that, and I think if my mom could say anything, I would think that my mom would agree with me on this, is the more that they saw Bear eat, the more that they saw how calm I was if he were to gag, the more they understood it and the more they became on board with it. So a lot of it was just them needing to see it firsthand and to be educated a little bit on even what it was. And I've been really blessed to have a family that doesn't really give me a lot of pushback on decisions that I make. So if that is you and you're having a lot of pushback, my two tips within a tip, so a tip and a tip, would be to educate them and just understand that it's ultimately your decision. My third tip is going to be learn CPR. It is going to be very important that you know what to do in the event that your child does start to choke. There is a difference between choking and gagging, and that is something that you will learn once you do your research into baby-led weaning. But please learn CPR. Okay, and my last and final tip is going to be do your research and get your gear. You are going to want to figure out what is the best gear for you to get when beginning your baby-led weaning journey. I put out a video on the gear that I found has been the most helpful for us during our journey, and it'll come across the screen right now. I don't know which side it's gonna come on, but it'll be up there, and I'll link it in the description below in case you want to check out what kind of gear has worked for us during this baby-led weaning journey. So my fourth and final tip is get your gear beforehand. It's going to be very helpful. I just want to encourage you to be confident. If this is something that you know you're going to do, I'm going to tell you it's going to be scary. You're going to be nervous about gagging, and your heart is going to sink once your child does gag for the first time. But just be confident. When you're calm and you're confident, your baby is going to be calm and confident, and it's going to make this journey a lot easier for you. And know that you're not alone. Every single mom, I guarantee you, every single mom that goes through this journey is going to have some type of nervousness. Here, come here. Another thing, and I guess this could have been another tip that I didn't think of until right now, so here's a bonus tip for you, is find a good support group. So I am a part of a group called Baby-Led Weaning and Beyond on Facebook, and it has been so helpful, and I have learned so much through it. So a bonus tip for you is just to find a really good support group that can rally around you during this new time in your life and can give you support and advice and encouragement. Really hope this video has helped you in some way. If so, make sure you give it a like. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have any questions for me, and I can try to help point you in the right direction. If you subscribe before you leave, I put out new videos every week. All right, bye guys. Bye.